Democrats are facing scrutiny over violent rhetoric from some of their own candidates. In Maine, Senate candidate Graham Plattner is having to answer for resurfaced online posts that he made years ago. Politico reports he once wrote, "If people expect to fight fascism without a good semi-automatic rifle, they ought to do some reading of history," in one since-deleted post. In another, he said, "An armed working class is a requirement for economic justice." Plattner now says he regrets those comments.
I got out of the Army in 2012. I had PTSD. I had depression. I had different feelings that I don't have now. I had different thoughts and opinions that I certainly don't have now. But I am very proud of the person I am today. I'm sorry for this. Just know that it's not reflective at all of who I am.
Meantime, in Virginia, Democrats are standing by their candidate for Attorney General, Jay Jones, after texts resurfaced in which he called for violence against a Republican colleague and their family. The issue came up at this week's debate.
I'm sorry to every single Virginian. I cannot take back what I said. But you have my word that I will always be accountable for my mistakes.
He keeps saying that he is sorry. Jay, if you're really sorry, you wouldn't be running. If you really understood the ramifications of what you said about an innocent mom and her children.
Joining us now, nationally syndicated reporter Selena Zito. So, here are a couple of candidates calling for basically gunshots to settle scores, I guess, with their political enemies. Selena, we've told the story of how you were 4 feet away from President Trump at Butler, Pennsylvania. I want to get your thoughts on this kind of rhetoric.
Well, this kind of rhetoric obviously is very dangerous. Not only does it dehumanize people, when you dehumanize them, then that makes it sort of okay to attack them, and someone that is unstable to then maybe take it to the next level, as Thomas Crooks did in Butler, Pennsylvania, killing Corey Compatore and wounding President Trump. These situations have gotten out of hand, and a lot of them, the bulk of them, have come from the left wing, including that horrendous attack on our Democratic governor in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. If you take a look at what that arsonist did to the governor's mansion, the Shapiro family are very lucky that they survived that attack. And I go back to, we just dehumanize people. What the candidate from Maine did was, he doesn't say he regrets it. He says he's sorry for it. And I think there needs to be a more depth understanding from voters. Voters are going to be very skeptical if someone doesn't show remorse. They only apologize because they got caught. And the same with Jay Jones. And no Democrat has told him not to run. It wasn't that long ago, I think it was 2018, 2019, when Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, every Democrat in the state called for him to step down because he was caught in a college yearbook in blackface. Right? Everyone stepped up, and that was okay for Democrats to call for him to step down, but wanting and fantasizing about murdering a family is not reason to call him to step down. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Jason Miyares, the Virginia Attorney General candidate on the Republican side, says that it's kind of a test of character when you run for political office. Listen.
So what this has become is now a national test of decency. I didn't think my attorney general's race would have national ramifications, but think about this. This gives a permission slip. If somehow is able to get through that gate and he was to serve as the top prosecutor, which is supposed to stop violence after advocating for violence, that gives a permission slip for any other on the far left thinking they can say and verbalize these things.
So both of those candidates that we've talked about, Jay Jones as well as Graham Plattner, they've said they're sorry, but for you, that's not enough.
No, I don't think it's enough. Part of these kinds of situations is they step up only after they've been caught. Right. So it's only because they've been caught that they're sorry. They're sorry because they've been caught. not because of what they did. I mean, Mayorkas made a really good point the other day when he said Jay Jones wouldn't even be able to be hired in the Attorney General's office if he came for a job based on that kind of behavior, but also even the speeding ticket that he received. And so you have to think not just beyond character, but also qualifications. And more importantly, when are we going to start saying, look, there needs to be consequences for these actions. There needs to be consequences for these behaviors, because what are we teaching our young people by saying it's okay to do this?
Yeah. Plattner says, look, he got out of the Army in 2012 and he had PTSD and some other things, but he's a changed man. That was 13 years ago. I don't know. Do you change your political views in that amount of time?
Right. And he blames, as you said, he blames it on PTSD. Well, you know, I think what voters are thinking about right now, okay, so does that come back? Is that just on pause? What would instigate you to do this again, right? What would trigger you to think it's okay to talk and text and post in that manner? I always tell my kids, don't ever put anything in a text or an email or on the line if you don't want anybody to see it.
Yeah, because it lives forever. And in this case, these remarks are coming back to haunt these candidates. Selena Zito, it's good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.